Welcome to another session of Reminiscing with History Makers. I'm Joe Jackson, and today I am joined by Chuck Berdan. Chuck, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you.
So, for starters, when did you join APCO?
I believe I joined APCO in 1985, but I may have
Hmm.
been attending a few meetings before I actually joined.
Hmm. And during your tenure at APCO, can you describe what agencies you worked for, or the positions that you held, responsibilities, and your length of service?
Okay, well, I started out working for the Citrus Heights Fire Department in 1975. I actually was a resident firefighter, and then took a job, a full-time job as a dispatcher for the fire department in 1975. Um, Worked as a dispatcher uh, for the Citrus Heights Fire Department when, at that time, in Sacramento County, where I live, uh, there were 23 fire dispatch centers in Sacramento County. Each little fire department had their own dispatch center. And so I joined Citrus Heights, which was a 10 station department, fairly large within the county, and worked there combination firefighter and dispatcher for a few years. And then I moved over to took a job with the Arcade Fire Department in 1979, and as a dispatcher again, working 24-hour shifts, which was great. Um, and during the course of my tenure there, the department, all the dispatch centers in the county started to consolidate. Um, we It was in bits and pieces, a couple of consolidations here, a couple of consolidations there. The fire departments themselves were consolidating, which facilitated some of the dispatch center moves. And then finally, in well, I guess it would have been 1984, we had pretty much consolidated most of the agencies, and we moved into a new dispatch center, um, and took the name of Sacramento County uh, Emergency Communications Center. So I worked there. I worked in Citrus Heights and for Sacramento County for um, 25 years. The name changed to Sacramento Regional Fire Communications Center, probably in 1985 or so. And so I've been worked there, and then I moved uh, out to the private sector for a couple of years. I worked for Pacific Bell, which became SBC, and eventually now is known as AT&T. Worked there as a project manager on 911 installations in the north coast of California. And then I moved back into the public sector as the dispatch manager for the um, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory Fire Department in Alameda County, which with consolidations, morphed into uh, what is now the Alameda County Regional Emergency Communication Center. And I retired there in 2013.
Hmm. And can you tell us what originally drew you to join APCO, or if there was a particular person that was influential in getting you to join?
There was George Apple was my boss. He was the dispatch manager when I joined Arcade Fire Department. Um, and George was a big influence. He was attending the APCO meetings, and he told me all about the APCO organization and allowed me to join him on a couple of the meetings, going to a couple of the Northern California chapter meetings. Again, that's before I became a member. I liked what I heard and the people that were in the group, so I ended up joining.
Well, that's great. Can you describe for us your APCO activities at the state chapter and at the national level during your tenure at APCO?
Um, well, we don't have a state chapter. We have actually two chapters in California, a Northern California chapter and a Southern California chapter. The I've been in the Northern California chapter. I was a member of the board of directors for many years. Um, I served up. I moved well, up the ranks. Second vice president, and chapter president in 2000. And when I moved to the private sector, I had to resign my position as president because at that time they were not allowing commercial members to be chapter officers. So I had a short tenure as chapter president.
Would you say you had a favorite during that time?
A favorite position?
Yeah.
Um, I enjoyed being president for the time I had. Like I said, it was fairly short, but uh, my tenure during that time of moving up from the vice presidents and on up and being a member of the board of directors was very uh, beneficial to me in my career. It was very informative. I learned a lot from all the members. Uh, the Northern California chapter was very radio centric. They did a lot of radio, um, a lot more of the radio side of the house than the 911 or the dispatch side of the house. So it was, but I learned a lot. I managed in my career, I managed the VHF radio system for Sacramento County Fire for many years. And a lot of that experience and a lot of that contact with, the movers and the shakers of APCO. I knew Art McDowell, uh, God rest his soul, and Press Thompson both very well, and they mentored me in a lot of things like frequency licensing and those kinds of things. And so they were a big influence on my career and or one of the big reasons why I stayed a member of APCO.
Hmm. Would you say your APCO membership has had a direct effect on your career in public safety communications?
Oh, definitely. The contacts that I made uh, or that I make during those chapter meetings, the national conferences, I managed to speak, have presentations at not all the conferences, but probably over half the conferences in my career. I was a speaker or a co-presenter, um, which got me out of my comfort zone. I was not a very good at public speaking, but I forced myself to do that. So APCO was kind of my way to get more personable and share my information. I'm a big fan, a big proponent of sharing information, not hiding information.
Yeah. What would you say you like most about APCO?
I think it's the contacts, the interaction between the members. It's I've been a real uh, advocate of people getting to know each other, not living in silos or hiding in a dispatch center and never seeing what's outside the walls of the dispatch center. So I really value, even though during our chapter meetings there's always a presentation, technical or operational, but I more than that I really enjoy the um, meeting and talking to people throughout Northern California, all the dispatch centers, the radio technicians, the state of California. You know, that's where APCO really has shown in the past is just that interaction between people.
Hmm. What do you think APCO does better than anyone else?
That's a hard question. Um, I think APCO has the pulse of the nation's radio systems. I mean, they've been a big uh, Project 25. All the radio projects that they've done over the years has been a huge influence and movers and shakers of those systems nationally. They brought Project 25 to fruition after a lot of um, infighting amongst the vendors about creating a standardized process and interoperable processes, and I think that's been their strength.
Hmm. So now with the advent of NG 911, is there anything that APCO needs to do to stay current with emerging technologies?
Well, I think um, next generation APCO has been kind of on the sidelines, if you will, of next generation. I mean, the NENA, the National Emergency Number Association, has always been the lead agency, if you will, or the lead advocate of NG 911. I think APCO uh, came to the party a little late on that, on phones and 911 in general. Like I said, they're a very radio centric organization, especially here in Northern California. So I think they have made strides. They certainly have gotten a seat at the table for next generation. Uh, and I think as a uh, organization, I think that's where next generation is, something that they need to concentrate more on as the proliferation of NG systems uh, get installed.
Is there anything that stands out as a significant contribution during your time in office?
For me personally, um, I think the one thing I like to be proud of is just trying my best over the years to get more and more operational people involved with uh, APCO, with the Northern California chapter, and specifically to try to get participation from the operations folks and not just the radio technicians. And I think I've helped that. I certainly didn't make it happen, but I helped that by encouraging people to come to the meetings, um, and to learn and to get the chapter itself to make some changes um, to be inclusive of the operations folks.
Oh, that's great. Well, Chuck, thank you. That was all great information. Thank you for sharing that with us. Once again, this has been Reminiscing with History Makers.
Thank you.